The Albanese government is blaming this huge increase in electricity prices on the war in Ukraine, which is stupid. It's the war here on coal that's the blame. Prices are always going to rise, and we started blowing up our own coal-fired power stations, driving a third of them out of business in a decade with our global warming policies, with most of the rest now set to close in a decade and a bit. But the war in Ukraine has made things worse, that's true, and the fallout from that war could get a lot worse yet. It's 8 months now since Russia invaded Ukraine, expecting to knock it over in a few days. Now Russian forces, they've been destroyed, they've been pushed back, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a panic, has had to rush in fresh recruits, dragged off the street, literally in some cases, and sent to the front with almost no weapons, no food, and no training, like these soldiers complaining from the Eastern Front.
Все наше обеспечение. Патронов нет.
Как здесь? Вот здесь передок. Без обучения, без всего отправили сюда.
So Putin is now looking for an excuse to go mega, maybe even nuclear, and is doing that by sending out his foreign affairs minister to claim that it's actually Ukraine planning to use a dirty bomb that releases radioactive material.
We have concrete information regarding Ukrainian scientific institutes having technologies which allow them to make a dirty bomb.
This could get very ugly. Joining me is General Jack Keane, a retired four-star general and former Vice Chief of Staff of the US and US Army Chairman. He's now Chairman of the Institute of Study of War. General Keane, thanks for your time. Russia claiming the Ukrainians are preparing a dirty bomb. What is the real danger here?
Well, certainly the Russians have brandished the potential use of a nuclear weapon almost since the start of the war. Now they're fabricating a story that it's the Ukrainians who are going to prepare a conventional weapon that has radiation associated with it and set that off inside of Ukraine as a false flag operation and blame it on the Russians. The fact is that the brandishing of nuclear weapons from the outset, nobody has bought into that whatsoever, although they've been concerned about it, certainly. And now here we have what the Russians do a lot of, Andrew, is phony information campaign. They use it constantly. In this case, no less than the Minister of Defense has called his counterparts in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and also in France. And they've also solicited this thought with the United Nations, so much so that the nuclear watchdog is going to send a couple of inspectors to Ukraine. But nobody is buying it, Andrew. Everybody knows the Russians are lying through their teeth. And what are the Russians trying to accomplish here? Two things. They want the world to stop supporting Ukraine because of the fear of this event taking place. And number two, they want the West, led by the United States, to force President Zelensky into negotiations. Neither one of those things are going to happen. The West is not going to stop its support for Ukraine. And Zelensky, whose military is defeating the Russian military on the battlefield and retaking territory and liberating his Ukrainian citizens from Russian control, is not going to go to a ceasefire or to negotiations, which is what the Russians want. They want him to stop that offensive. He's not going to stop. He's going to keep coming because it makes sense to liberate as many people as he can.